What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Frolfcenter, presented by Frolfer Magazine. Today's the 4th of February. I'm Austin Lytle, and I'm joined here with my boys as always. What's up, Adam?
What's up, man? I am out of the jail of dry January, and I am back on the train, baby. We're doing some Athena Paradiso tonight. This is that black currant and other purpley blueberry sort of version of it. I like it a lot. So,
Nice.
What's up with you, Mr. 1100 rated hype man himself, Mr. Cody Vitale?
I'm just living the dream. Had some wonderful weather today, and I'm drinking the Daycation IPA from Asheville.
Island.
Very
Nice.
nice.
Hey, I want to give a shout out to our good buddies over at Contrast Brewing for the Luminiferous IPA. Stay tuned for some more stuff we got from them. Thanks.
Yeah, there's going to be, I think it's going to make sure, as always, if you guys aren't following us on social media or going to the website regularly, hit the like, the subscribe, all those buttons. Make sure you're following us. It helps us out. It helps you guys out because you keep in contact with what we got going on. So please do that. We're waiting on Mr. Dan Hastings to get it. How are you guys been? What have you been up to? You guys been playing disc golf?
Dude, always playing disc golf. Let's see. I played 4 rounds over the weekend.
Oh, damn.
And I've been kind of working under the scenes of some stuff here in the local Atlanta area for some exciting stuff coming to the future.
We're getting close to being able to talk about that, right?
Yes, very much so.
Very nice. I was very worried about that. Cody, what are you up to?
No,
I think I found a golf course that's going to let me do my shenanigans on it.
Up there in Raleigh.
Yeah, don't know if I'll quite make it before spring. It might be a next winter type of thing, but I'm going to try to push it for maybe April if we can get in there before it gets too hot.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
Besides that, it's nothing. Waiting on the women's event. Kate's really excited about that.
That's awesome. And we'll have some new. There's some other fun news for Fall for later too, and we'll get to it. When we get to it. But real quick, our guest is here. This is a professional disc golfer who's been taking down pro open purses since 2011. He's the 1100 guy. He's the guy who had the greatest single day in disc golf history, according to Ultra World. He's also the 2020 North Carolina Point Series champion. And think about all the people who play in North Carolina and realize how big a deal that is. It's Discraft's own Mr. Dan Hastings.
Hey, what up, Big Dan?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good. Great to have you on the show. Thanks for coming on.
Get you on the big screen here, Dan. There we go.
So, again, thanks for coming on. Tell us about your first disc golf experience.
Whew, that's a funny one. So,
Yes.
I was 13, 14, somewhere in that range, early high school, late middle school, somewhere in there. And I was like soccer year-round kind of guy. That's all I cared about. And my dad's like, hey, let's try this disc golf thing. And I'm just like, that sounds like the lamest thing in the world, but all right, let's give it a try. And my first time playing was with chewed up dog ultimate frisbees. So they weren't even full discs. They were just dog frisbees that had chunks missing out of them, bite marks in them. But we went a couple times, got hooked. Started in Rochester, New York at Basil Morella Park, or it might have been Ellison Park. I don't remember which one was our first, but both of those are old school New York courses. And then we got real discs, and I started beating my older brothers, which anything sports related that I beat them in back then was a huge deal because they're 7 years older than me.
Wow.
So
Jeez.
once I started beating them, it went from this game's lame to this is the coolest thing ever, and then
That's awesome.
I've been hooked ever since. So
That's awesome.
What brought you to North Carolina from New York?
so I was in Rochester all through basically my entire life until I finished college. And then my wife was in chiropractic school in Buffalo.
Okay.
So we moved there for 4 years while she was in school. And then just the weather down here. Like I was complaining about the weather last weekend, and it was like upper 30s in late January. So it really expands the whole tour season. Like tour season, I say that I play pretty much 90% of my tournaments in North Carolina, but as far as just the disc golf season, it's significantly longer. If you've played with me in the cold, you know I'm the biggest baby when it comes to cold weather. I think it comes from all my Saturday winter leagues in New York.
Yeah.
I used to play like 2-3 rounds every Saturday with Bobby Jones up there, and I don't know how I did it back in high school, but I loved it. Or now it's like it drops below 50, and I'm like, all right, time to go home.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm the same
Can't feel
way.
my fingers anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the most recent round you played?
I actually just finished up a practice round at Johnson Street, about 20 minutes from here. That's where the tournament is this weekend.
What tournament is that?
Mookie's Cup.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard of that.
You've won that a couple times before?
I have quite a few second places to Dickerson at it, and then I won it last year finally.
Nice, very good. That's awesome.
Austin?
So, are you still doing? You're still doing the whole teaching thing? You're still doing teacher?
So actually, I'm trying to think of years because COVID time, everything goes faster. But I think this is my second year out of the classroom. So I was a middle school math teacher all up in Rochester, and then 2 years when I moved to North Carolina. And I stayed within the same charter school company. And then 2 years ago, I moved from math teacher to curriculum specialist.
Okay.
So now I'm traveling. I support all of our North Carolina schools and all of our Colorado schools. So before everything got shut down, I was traveling like crazy, just supporting our schools around curriculum and, coaching teachers and all that fun stuff. So I took on more of a teaching teachers rather than teaching kids type role.
Gotcha.
Dude, that's awesome. Has it always been math? Has there been any other subjects or what?
No, I've always been middle school math ever since, or I guess my first job when I moved to Buffalo, my buddy Sam Castiglione got me an interview at his school, which was teaching a 611 self-contained special ed classroom. But after that, once I got my own classroom and going with this charter school company, I've been all math.
You seem like you'd be like a little bit of an intimidating math teacher. Like, I'm not sure I wouldn't want to learn math from you, honestly. Like, if I don't get the math problem right, I feel like you'd probably like punish me.
No, I kind of I'll tell you the same thing I tell my kids. Like, you're either gonna love me or hate me in the classroom. Like, I'm either like, if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, like I make it as fun as possible. But obviously, if they're acting up, like, if we want to play who's meaner, I can win that game all day.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
Yeah.
Act up brings the crack down, right?
Yeah, I absolutely loved it though. Like, it was fun. It was an adjustment. Leaving the classroom was hard, especially because North Carolina, I started in 6th grade, and then the following year I moved up with my kids to 7th grade, and then I was going to follow them to 8th grade before I took on this position. But it was one of those things, like a promotion like that and an opportunity to join the team that I'm on doesn't happen too often. So it's one of those things where
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
if I waited a year and finished out with those kids, this opportunity wouldn't have been there for me. So I had to jump at it when I could. And unfortunately, it cost me my summers. So now I'm working summers. Unlike when I was teaching, I had summers off, which was disc golf dream.
Right.
I
mean, that's huge, though. I mean, congratulations to you on that promotion. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you ever have you ever implemented any sort of disc golf into the schools you've been working at? Like maybe like influence the PE teachers to like put disc golf in there?
Yeah, I always brought it in. Like, at least when I moved to North Carolina, I always brought it in for like field days.
Nice.
And then when I was still with Prodigy, they sent me a bunch of the par 2 X out putters.
Yeah.
So they had a bunch of PA4s and PA1, or I'm not sure what the putter was, PA4 and then either PA1 or PA2 back then. And then they sent me one of those like super light baskets. So when I left the school, I left it all with the PE teacher there. So
Nice.
They're doing that, and the kids loved it. But never like anything as far as like taking them out to the course or starting an official club, just exposing them to it as much as possible.
Nice. Yeah, that's huge.
Nice. I got to ask, as a math guy, are you more or less likely to make a mistake adding up scores at the end of the day?
I will never turn in an incorrect scorecard.
Ever. Never going to happen.
Never.
Ever.
It won't ever happen. It's one of those things that I've heard too many horror stories, and it's one of those things where it's careless, and I wouldn't do it. It's to the point where if someone starts adding it and I can tell, I'm like, you don't seem too confident. It's just like, give it to me. Like,
Yeah, I need the scorecard before it goes in.
Yeah, exactly. Does being a math teacher or understanding some high level math affect the way you analyze your own game at all? Like when you look at UDisc stats, or you're just like Gus going, "Oh, that's not enough." Yeah.
Are you a statistics person or a numbers person?
I love statistics, looking at the data, but I don't dig into it too much. I know that if I'm playing good, my putting percentage, circle 1, circle 2 is going to be, mid 90%. I know my scramble rate's going to have to be high. I know my fairway hits is going to probably be around 20%.
All right, that's good. I just want to know. I always wonder about people who are like really into math if it makes them redo their disc golf. They do disc golf differently mentally, but you just said you were with Prodigy. You're with Discraft now. The Discraft's been about 3 years now. Is that right? Yeah,
this is going into my 3rd year with Discraft.
That's awesome. How did that relationship come to be with you and Discraft?
I've always been tight with Yuli ever since like joining that first year with Prodigy. I stayed with him 1 year at Worlds way back when they were in Lemon Lake, maybe. I think that's what it was. And I stayed with him. Me and him clicked, and then he just kind of presented me with, introduced me to Bob Giulio and kind of presented me with the opportunity. And I like the direction everything was headed. I like I've always been a huge fan of Yuli. And so like the fact that he's in my corner when it comes time to like who's on the other side of that table talking contracts and talking what I need to do. And just as far as like appreciating me as a player, and then just on what I can do off the course as well. It's just good to have, someone that you consider a close friend and family on the other side of that table. And then just, I've been fortunate enough with work whenever I have to fly out. Our company is actually located up in Michigan, so I'm flying through Detroit a ton. So I was able to like time that up of when I was in Detroit and hitting up factory visits. So just seeing so it was awesome. And just seeing the sense of community within the company and just everyone loves it. And just, I joined the same year that Macbeth hopped on, so I just knew that as far as like building me, and that was right about. I think I had half a season with Prodigy when I was in North Carolina, so I just knew that Discraft was about to blow up everywhere. Yeah. So just I think it was a good time to jump on that wave and get in at the ground level there as far as just kind of this new era of that Discraft's now like. They're not just relevant, like they're leading the way.
Driving the
That's elite. Yeah, dude, that's huge, man.
I think when you kind of announced on Instagram the 2021, I think the way you put it was no surprise here, still repping Discraft or whatever. It was like that's the best nonchalant confidence from a player in their sponsor that you see. It's just like, of course I'm still a Discraft. Why wouldn't I? It's like if I can be here, why wouldn't I be here, kind of thing. Yeah,
absolutely. It's one of those things where it's going to be something that if that relationship breaks, it's going to be their decision, not mine. Like I'm loving the plastic, loving my contract.
Anything new for 2021 with them?
Not with them, but I will be dropping some news with a disc golf store out of Charlotte that I'm partnering up with. Nice. So we have some things that hopefully, if everything unfolds correctly, as far as just. I know Discraft's been hurting with the whole COVID thing and just getting stock, getting custom orders running, all that. So hopefully if things get back on track there, we got some big moves happening there that I was able to reach out to them in the off season and kind of get that rolling. So I'm excited about that.
All right.
But as far as my contract's looking, you're still just going to see, they do a really good job of like individualizing contracts within the team levels. So mine's really helping me just play the events I play. Like you're not going to see me out at a bunch of like pro tours, majors, stuff like that. You're going to see me at my typical, B and C tiers. Like, it's one of those things where you kind of pick and choose. Like, I look at more and you look at what I can do for my brand, like playing those smaller tournaments and the towns that may not get a ton of disc golfers through there. And I just look at what you can build with that. Yeah, you're going to take a rating hit because most of those courses probably aren't the most difficult. So everyone's scoring well. So it's one of those things like, are you looking to completely boost your rating, or are you looking to, play as much as possible and promote the game and, kind of build your following throughout? And that's kind of what I'm looking to do again this year. And North Carolina makes it easy. Like our C tiers, I feel like are run like B tiers and A tiers anywhere else. Like you go to a C tier and you don't have the, I'm at a C tier, let's see what I can do. Like it's even like you're getting hyped for C tier because chances are there's 6 other 1,000 rated guys there now.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
What's the biggest tournament you're going to do this year? You think? What's your big guy?
So a lot of that comes to travel. I would love to get out to Utah. Me and my wife are big outdoors people. Like during this whole COVID thing, like we just kept driving up towards like the Asheville area and hitting as many trails and as many mountains as we can, just hiking with the dogs. So I just imagine like I could stay out in Utah for a while doing that. So I would go out. I'm hoping to go out for Worlds and then just hang out there for a week or so, either before or after, depending on what she can swing with her work schedule. With me working all remote, like I can just have that be home and work from there if I need to.
Right. That's it.
And then just depending on, like I said, I'm working summers now. So just depending on what my work schedule looks like, I'd love to get to Idlewild. I had 2 really successful years there. And then this year, or 2020, I absolutely hit every tree that place has to offer.
There's a lot of them out there. Yeah.
You're looking for redemption at Idlewild.
Yeah, I went from, lead card final round in 2019 to missed cash in 2020. So I'm just like, oof, I'd like to get back there.
I would need to get that redemption.
Okay, and we're Georgia boys, so we're kind of homers. We got to know anything you miss over at Prodigy, any of the folks over there you wish you were still popping in and saying hey to or anything?
When I was with them, I was still up north, so I wasn't really in driving range of the factory, but nothing but, solid relationships with them. Like I'm still, tight with Dickerson, cool with Will, like that whole company. Like it wasn't a negative, process of cutting that. And I'm someone I try to burn as few bridges as possible, just because you never know when relationships are going to be needed or when you're on the same team with someone again. You just never know.
I wrote that question. I wanted to know the disc you were missing the most from Prodigy.
I would say it's probably one of the most unique discs that Prodigy has, and that's the A4. And I feel like a lot of people on the team didn't throw it.
Yeah,
nobody does.
Yeah, but I'm terrible throwing mid ranges, and I still am. But I was able to throw the A4, and that thing, it was a one disc that I can pop and get to fly straight for like 300, 320.
Well, now you got a zone, right?
Yeah, I have a zone, but they're beefier than what the A4 is. But I can probably pick up an A4, and I don't have that shot anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, I just refilmed my In the Bag, so I feel like it's finally set. Like I think that was the biggest thing I noticed, is that I'm always someone, especially with my forehand, like I want to take an overstable disc and beat it in until it's straight. Because then at slow speeds, you have that stability, but if you pop it, it's not going to insta flip.
Yep.
So it took me a while just to get Zeus's like that, to get zones like that. Like I just had to really work in those overstable discs. And when I filmed In the Bag, it's just one of those things like, I don't have any gaps right now. So that's just one of those things, just knowing that whatever hole I step up on, like I have the disc that I want to fill that slot. And that was, I didn't practice a ton pretty much once the school year started up, just because it was chaos. But I found like when I was getting out, like I had a few late season additions that I'm just like, when I get out in the field and I start practicing, like these are going to be a few game changers. So I'm excited to get those worked into the bag and kind of focusing on disc golf again. That's kind of been February, March. That's really when I start, disc golf is a priority again. I start focusing on it, where I feel like once it started to get cold, like I still played tournaments.
Yeah, you're a fair weather golfer.
Yeah, but I was still playing all the tournaments just because the point series has some, late November, December, and one of the best tournaments in North Carolina every year is the Craven Chains Classic. Awesome course, awesome TD, and always a huge fat payout. And they had a skins match this year, so there's no way I was missing that. And then that was the final event of the point series, so I definitely had to be there for that. But
nice,
it's huge.
So we got a couple of viewer comments or questions. Askew Jared 17 says, ask him about his best day ever. I don't know if you know what that means.
Yeah,
I think
that
we already
was
went over it.
yeah, best day ever was the Tar Heel Open 2018, and that was like my first full season of disc golf in North Carolina. Still probably the best season I've ever had. I had double digit wins and then a billion second places, and I felt like I was playing like every weekend. But I played terrible. I forgot what event was before it, but I played absolutely terrible the weekend before. And then I went out for a practice round. It's on the UNC Chapel Hill campus. So I went out there for a practice round, and I just felt awful at disc golf. It was one of the things where my wife was out there with me, and I'm just like, I'm not playing this weekend. Like I'm dropping out. And she's like, you can't do that. Like it was peak season. It's like June or July was the tournament, and it was perfect weather. So she's like, all right, when you get out of work tomorrow, like we're gonna hop in the car, we're driving here, we're gonna play every single hole. I'm like, all right. So we get there, and I played every single hole until I parked it, and that's how I played the course. And I was like, all right, like my game feels good, like I was in a good mental state. And then I just showed up the next day and just I missed the easiest hole on the course. Like Austin's played with me enough where when I say it's a 220-foot hole that has a slight finish to the right,
Yeah.
You can give me any disc in the bag, and you're expecting better chance of metal than me missing that hole. Like it's just a routine flick. And then that was the only hole I missed. And then I get a text from Schwebby when I'm coming around like hole 15, and this is a 20-hole course, and he sent me a picture of his scorecard. And I look at it, and he was like, I think he was like 12 through 18 or something like that, 12 down through 18 holes. So I'm just like, I'm not going to respond, not going to jinx it. I then birdie out, and the last hole is like a par 4. Like it's one that if you have the arm to go up and over, you're getting an eagle look. But I eagled the last hole to get 20, and it was the first UDisc scorecard I ever filled out because I had to fill it out because I wanted to screenshot it and send it back to him. So I did it. I screenshot it, sent it back to him, and I just said, "That's cute," and then sent him my scorecard.
Oh, that's funny.
Jesus.
That's awesome.
And then the round updates, I finished, and my buddy Mitch Dickens, he goes, "Well, congrats on the 1100 club." And I was like, "You think? Like, is this course hard enough for that?" Like, there was only, I think, one other 1,000-rated player there, other than Schweb. But so I think there might have been 2 other 1,000-rated players there. And we get through. I start the next round hitting putts, birdieing. Like I'm just on cloud 9. And then we get around to, I want to say it's like hole 8 or 9, and someone on my card's like, "Hey, the scores are in, ratings are up," and it ended up being 11-11.
Wow.
But then once it went official, it became 11-12. And then after that, like it was one of those things where I felt like no matter what I did, I was making the putts. Like I could throw a terrible drive, I'm 80 out,
Yeah.
up, I tossed it in, up, I flicked it in. Like it was just one of those things where I felt like the 20 down was just so clean. Like it was your drive, and then that second round, I'm just like, I feel like I was just blacked out. Like I was just like, oh, toss it in, and it was.
Yeah.
Was it like in
the best rounds you ever play are the ones you
breaks
ever
up and you hit all the quarters. Yeah.
Yeah, so it ended up being, it averaged for the day, I was 1102 rated for the day.
Wow.
That was PDGA record for highest rated multi-round day ever. So
that's
awesome.
disgusting.
Yeah.
it's been all downhill since.
So who's influenced your game the most through the years?
So it's kind of like each like couple of years of my career, depending on where I'm at, like I feel like I latch onto a mentor.
Mhm.
So just when I was young, like traveling like 13, 14, 15, playing junior worlds, like it was absolutely my dad. Like he was the one who would just like he'd be the one that would just look at me and be like, "Get your head out of your ass." Like, like make sure, lotion up your ears and get your head out of your ass, like type things. I'm just like, all right. Like, and it clicked with me then. And then just as I started getting good, Bobby Jones out of Rochester, New York, kind of took me under and just taught me a ton of the shots I didn't have. And just, I gave him enough money playing those $5 rounds where I would get sick of paying up. So I'd eventually have to win a few. But then like, I felt like in my early years, I was an absolute psycho on the course. Like I would just have rage fits. And then when I moved to Buffalo, so I was probably 21-ish when I moved to Buffalo, and Sam Castiglione kind of was my mentor there that just kind of helped me calm down and just not be a baby. And just kind of like, he just had that laid back, like if you guys ever met him, like he's one of the most likable humans in the game. And it was one of those things where just, okay, if he's going to put his name on me, like I need to clean up what I'm doing. Like if I'm going to start looking sponsorship opportunities, like I need to really, focus and not be crazy.
Right.
And then I kind of used just the move to North Carolina as just a reset on that. Like, all right, I'm gonna come down here. Like I don't have a reputation here. Like I'm a name and a rating here, and let's use that. And then, and honestly, now I kind of look up to like Schweb a ton. Like he is someone where it's just crazy after how many events, the level of play he's always been at. Like, and he's someone, if you're watching him play, he's always having fun. And that's something that I tried at the end of the last year to kind of figure that out, because I'm either having fun or I'm playing well. I've never been able to have that like fun mentality on the course where I'm doing both. So it's like, I got to the point where I'm not a, straight up psycho on the course, but it's also like, okay, how do I make it look like I'm not working while I'm out there? So just kind of, seeing the way he approaches the game, and it's just, he'll even be at tournaments like, I play because I love the game. Like that's what he always says. And it's one of those things I'm like, all right, it's tough to remember that sometimes, like after, a terrible putting day or you can't get off the tee. Like it's one of those things you have to remember, like, like we all started playing because we loved the game. Like before it was a job, before it was, hey, I can make money. Hey, I can be the best at this. We all started because we enjoy playing the game. And that's
right.
That's
we just take it to the next level
to,
because we're all competitive,
Yeah, and that's really what it is. Like I'm terrible at messing up. Like, and I think that's really where it come down to, is like I'm the hard on myself. Whether it's like I just taught a terrible lesson to these students, or I just got this math problem wrong, or I missed this easy little 200-foot hole. Like it's just I'm the hardest on myself, and it's just now just being able to mentally control that now, I think it's big. And obviously there's always times where it's like you just go back, but it's not nearly the level it once was, which I'm glad. Like my worst days are what like my average round used to be. So now it's just, trying to be like, just being someone that's likable on the course, I think is like, you don't want to be that person that when people see you on the card, they're like, ugh, so I think that's just a big eye-opening opportunity. And like I said, just moving to North Carolina and kind of just seeing the way like the top level players conduct themselves down here, because I'm not like, because when I was coming up in New York, like the highest rated player was Brinster, but he was on the other side of the state. Like that's pretty much like you guys' distance from me now. Like it's a hike to get from where I was in Western New York down to where he is in Warwick. So it's like I was always the highest rated player. So I was always like, hey, you're expected to play at this level. And when I didn't, like I said, I would just lose it. Like it was almost like a level of embarrassment to me, where it's like, oh, why am I playing so bad? Like everyone's expecting me to be here and I'm playing down here. So it's then come down to North Carolina where you're one of 20 at every tournament. Like, if you,
I mean, there's so many pros and down in the Southeast.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's to the point where I've let so many rounds just get away from me because of getting angry, where now I look down here and you just look at how tight everything is, where it's like, oh, that stroke was $100. Oh, those 3 strokes, because I kept throwing in the water out of anger, that was $300, so it's, you just look at how much more meaningful strokes are when you're competing, in which every weekend almost feels like A tier. Like I think
it's every weekend, it's every C tier.
Yeah, like I think this weekend there's 3,000 rated players at a little pitch and putt C tier on one of my home tracks. Like last weekend in Kings Cup, I want to say there was like a B tier in January where he had 8 players, all 1,000 plus, and then a couple 990 guys. So it's just the competition's always there, and if you don't have that mental side of the game, like you're either going to win or you're going to miss cash. Like that's the level the game is at. So
I would definitely say I definitely have learned that in my time in disc golf. Is just like you play it for fun, man. You don't. The minute you get angry on the disc golf course is the minute your game goes to shit, for sure.
Yeah. And it was funny.
Who's the next best up and comer, do you think?
Just in general, or like in North Carolina?
Period.
It doesn't matter. Your choice.
Little Zach from Burlington, Kentucky area.
Arlinghouse?
Yeah, he's if he sticks with disc golf, like as like he, goes through high school and college and all that, like he's one of the guys I can see like being a big name on tour, like a lead car type guy. North Carolina has 1,000, like, and I feel like they all popped up like last week.
Yeah.
Dude, I played with some kid from Greensville, South Carolina. His name's Anthony. Down in Savannah a couple weeks ago, dude. He whooped my ass. I was like, "What the? This kid's 13."
Yeah, and I think that's what it is. Like as kids start choosing that in high school, like, oh, my sport's disc golf. Like you're only gonna see it. Like, but no, we had a couple people that like last few tournaments. I know Matt Thompson. My first meeting with him was at Potter's Grove, the tournament that I won. That was my last win actually. That was back in September. And I just remember after the first round, I think we were tied, and I'm just kind of like, who is this? And like it was one of those things where I had to like execute shot after shot that second round to beat him. But I'm just like,
he was putting pressure.
It was crazy because I think he was only like 980 at the time, where now he's over 1,000. But it was one of those things I'm just like, you just expect, like you're just waiting for that mess up where I'm just like, okay, I'll capitalize here. Like I just parked it. Oh, he's not going to follow that up. And then he did. And I'm just like, and he's young too. I think he's either, late teens or early 20s, but he's one that, I think he might be the next one to kind of come out of North Carolina as like your 10-10 level player.
I've kind of heard of that name. I'm anxious to see him play now.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like he's one of the, like I just tied him last week in King's Cup, and it was crazy because even that, like it was cold, wet, and miserable, and he birdies the last 3 holes in the rain, like gross rain, and they're not easy holes. Like one's like this super tight gap, like 300 dead straight downhill, parks it. Next hole is a little flick, parks it. Hole 18, parks it, and I'm just like, he actually hit like a little circle edge putt on 18 to tie me, and I'm just like, this kid's gonna be good. Like he birdied the last 3 holes and make up 2 strokes and tie me for second. So it's, hopefully he's not watching this and getting too much confidence because I play him this weekend. But he can be good, especially how young he is.
Comes out like this or whatever.
Pulls McGregor on me.
Oh
yeah. So I mean, we're talking about that 1,000 rated like threshold. What would you say took your game to that level? Like what pushed you over that? I feel like I'm at that plateau right now where all you have to do is just get over that threshold and then you're in the thousands. Like what does it take to get you to that, to break that number?
Honestly, I think for me it was just my putting. I'm someone where, like if you're hitting all your circle 1 putts, like it's gonna make huge jumps because like think about missing like a 25 footer, like those strokes add up big time. Like I've always had a good scramble game, so it's like, okay, I threw a bad tee shot, get a par. So like there's certain courses that I'll look at like, okay, don't bogey this hole, and then if I happen to get down for a birdie, cool. So I think just really just understanding that course management side of things, and then just making sure that even if you're getting lucky, like just capitalize on the green, I think is the biggest thing. And I watch people like with putting, like I consider myself one of the best putters in the game. And I just watch some of these routines that people have, and I'm just sitting there, I'm just like, why all of that extra? Like all it is finding your release point, and it's just same thing over and over again. And that's part of my game that I tried to focus on, because putting, you got some fluky greens here and there, but in certain baskets, whatever, but it's the same everywhere. So that's the part of my game that I'm just like, okay, even if I'm playing this course blind, I need to hit all these putts. And that's going to be something where that's my biggest thing for people. Like if I'm giving a lesson on putting, like I just simplify it. Like it's coming out of your hand and you need to release it here every time, like finding that release point and not making it more complicated than what it is. Like, but that's for me, like that's what keeps me over 1,000 is my putting. Like I said, like when I said my fairway hits is like 20%, like sometimes it really is. And then I look at the score I put up and I'm just like, oh wow, that's a good round still. So
because the putting just brings it all together. If you could duplicate one person's form of any shot to input into your game, what would it be?
I would say either Drew Gibson or Kel LaVisca's mid-range throwing.
Ooh,
Nice.
I would love to have a backhand mid range like either of them. I would say Drew is probably my favorite person to watch him throw, just because it just looks perfect. Even if the disc doesn't fly perfect, his form is just like, wow. Like, you know what I mean? Where Kale, like, if he throws a bad shot with a mid range or putter, everyone's scratching their head like, what just happened?
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you just do?
What are you trying there? So you've been Discraft with 3 years now. What Discraft disc has been in your bag the longest? What mold, like from the get go, have you been hanging on to?
So this is funny. This was the last disc out of my bag when I went to Prodigy 8 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an ESP Meteor that is so beat up, it's not even funny. It's so beat up that when I got an M4, I'm like, the M4 is too overstable. Like I need a flippier mid range. Like, so I beat it in an M4, but it's one of those things where it's just those little flip up forehands. Like the thing would just stand up so slow on tight wooded courses. Backhand, same thing. Like it's just such a good flip up disc, and it had so many names on the back of it. Like it was in my buddy Sam's bag, then it was in my bag, and then it was in P Nasty's bag, and then I think it was back in Sam's bag. And then when I went to Discraft, I was home for Christmas, and I went to where Sam had all of his discs stored, and I was like, I knew exactly right where it was, which color it was, and I'm like, I need this. And that's one where it's funny because now when I throw like a new Meteor, I'm just like, man, this thing's beefy.
And Meteors are not beefy.
No. And what's
not even close.
No. What's the newest mold to make it into the bag?
The ESP XL.
Okay.
So those are tricky to find, and it worked out perfect. I was actually doubles partners with Schweb at one of the North Carolina doubles championships.
Oh, that's dirty.
And he was telling me, he kept saying like, you need an XL, and he would throw a shot, and I'm like, what'd you throw there? And he goes, a leopard. And I was like, what's a leopard like? And he's like, it's literally like, he goes, the XL. He said the XL was the last disc out of his bag before Innova made the leopard. And he goes, just get an XL, learn how to throw it. So sure enough, we go back to the guy that was doing vendors. And he had 3 Sun King stamped XLs. And I'm just like, okay, that's rare because those are impossible to find anywhere. I'm like, grabbed them and I threw the first time. I was like, oh, that's how you throw slow and straight. And it's been one of my favorite discs to throw. Like I'm still not 100% on it, but it's one of those things where, like I said, I'm awful at throwing mid ranges, so I try to avoid it. And it's just this disc flies just a
Tells the next step to it, dude.
Yeah, it's just a touch faster than like what I would want to throw a buzz on. So it's like it's one of those things where I can smooth this out.
The buzz is a fairway, basically, bro.
True. Yeah, they do. They do got some.
The buzz flies just as far as a fairway. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, you're not wrong with that. But
so Dan, what's the biggest thing that's changed in the game of disc golf since you started playing?
Biggest thing
that's a hard question. He's thinking about it.
It is a hard question. Like,
you got to say the influx of players, right?
That's what I was going to do first, but I think that's just that was an easy one. Like I'm trying to think of like the game itself, and I don't know. Like I feel like I would say the ability of companies to sponsor players.
Yeah.
Like, because if you look at like payouts, none of the disc golfers are surviving on payouts alone. Like, and I think just the support each company is able to give their top guys, I think that's the biggest difference. And I think that's why you see so many more top level players on tour now, is because every company has like their top 3 or 4 guys that are just like, all right, you're good. Like you're set. Like it's not the end of the world if you don't get top 3 because you have whatever's in your contract, you have your tour series this, you have this and that. So I think just the support that manufacturers are able to offer, especially because you look at how many more manufacturers there are on like that competitive level. Like where
I'll give you a 100 for your answer.
I get 100?
100. Yeah.
Oh, he's crazy. Don't let him grade you. I can take him out. I can just erase him. It's fine.
I get a gold star too. Like, can you just do a little right in the top?
Yeah, I'll give you a smiley face in the last 0 and the 100. Yeah.
Yep.
And a gold star.
That's good.
What's the single most important thing to a newcomer that you would tell them about the game? What's like the one thing they have to know before they start playing, either just rec competitively or whatever?
It'll be more fun if you have fun. And that's one of those things.
Yeah.
Like even like I'm terrible at like golfing, like traditional golf. I'm terrible, but it's one of those things like if I don't tell myself, hey, you're just going out here to have fun, I'll find myself getting frustrated because I'm not chipping it onto the green. That when's the last time I swung a club? Like, so I think just getting, especially like competitive people. But as far as like learning the game, I wish I would have learned with a Meteor, like because then obviously my backhand, like my slow touch backhand, would be a million times better. I think my first disc was a DX Viper because the stamp looked cool, and that explains why I have a really good forehand. And I didn't know throwing it backhand was an option because when I started, I didn't know the discs flew different. I thought just a disc flew like a disc did. And then I'm looking at my brothers who I think they started with XLs and they throw it. And I was like, how are they getting it to move right? And I'm over here with the Viper.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Start with something slow and
you see a disc do something like that. Like I remember there being comments like with the Phylotros where they're like, that disc moved twice in the air. That can't be real. This is special effects. I don't believe this frisbee turned in the air. It doesn't make any sense. Like to some people, it just blows their mind. Yeah.
Yeah. But no,
well, the first time you see a true flight of a frisbee, I feel like you get a little mesmerized behind the flight of it, and you're just like, yeah, I mean, the mesmerization of a true flight of a disc that stands up to flat and rolls right is just it's insane.
Yeah. Anyway, tangents. Yeah.
Yeah. So, dude, you've been working out here in the off season. You've been, social media presence. I see the gains. Should I say you've been getting? You ever find trouble balancing that into the disc golf world? Like, are you working out too hard? Like you got callus on your hands and you can't throw the next weekend, or what?
Yeah, it's 100%. Like this was the first really off season that I dedicated just to a bulk. Like I just want to see like how much size I can put on in that off.
I mean, you're already a big dude. Like, why?
I like it. Like it's.
I like it. I'm huge, dude. The beach is
a lot of it too is just like I just look at like it's such a good way to just end the work day. Like I work out pretty much any day right after work. I'm like right on the other side of this wall. I have a full gym in my garage. Yeah, and it's one of those things like it's just a super stress relief and just the whole mental health side of things. Like that's my outlet, and I absolutely love it. It's one of those things where it absolutely makes you worse at disc golf the bigger you get. You just get.
I can only imagine.
Slow. You get slow, you get tight, like, and that's.
I feel like you'd have to incorporate a little bit of yoga on top of your, what's the word I'm looking for? Muscle gains, like strength training.
And that's one of those things. Like when I'm in season, my workouts look a lot different. But I kind of just allowed the last 3 months, pretty much from November to now, I just embraced the suck and going in mentally knowing that, hey, I'm not going to be the top of my game for these events. And then pretty much right now is when I kind of pretty much start a cut where it's a lot more like cardio,
just
and
cardio
yoga,
and like
yoga type stuff, like doing lightweight, high rep type stuff just to get my body moving.
Just keep it tight.
Yeah, but that's really what it is. It's just when you're putting on size, like if you're not, like you said, if you're not stretching, you're not doing yoga, you're just going to get so tight. You're going to feel like a concrete ball, and you lose.
Yeah, so I mean, you avoid any sort of heavy liftings like prior to tournaments, right?
Yeah, like this week, like even with just doing cut load, I stopped. I'll run in the morning, but I'm not doing any lifting right now, just because I don't want to. Changing a workout will make you even more sore than sticking with whatever you've been doing. So like.
Yeah,
I'm taking it easy right now, just because I want to practice for this tournament. I looked at last weekend, every forehand I threw between the cold discs and my cold hands, it would just come out and just, oh, that's the wrong way for you guys. It would just dive. It would just turn over
you're
so
just
quick.
Getting the wrong angles because I can just imagine like having tight muscles is just like you force everything over.
Yeah, and you just torque everything right in the ground rather than having that smooth just timing, and that's really what it is. So. I just be real careful with any sort of like heavy lifting or bulk, and that's why you see like the top guys aren't huge guys doing a ton of lifting
Right.
during the season. Like most of them are doing, like if you look at like the stuff like disc golf strong is doing, like most of that stuff is either core work or stretches. Like you don't see them throwing
That's the word I'm
dumbbells,
looking for, is
barbells
core
around.
work.
Yeah.
Right.
Deadlifts.
Hey,
Deadlifts.
Jason Light said he's got lessons if you're interested.
I would take lessons from him in a heartbeat, and that's what's about being in the gym. I don't want his fitness routine. I want his like throwing putters and mid-range routine.
Right?
No kidding, dude. He taught Chris Dickerson how to throw. Why wouldn't you want to learn from Jaybird?
Yeah, except Jaybird dropped from BCI this year, so I don't want anything to do with his lessons.
Oh, Jaybird. All right, man.
Shots fired.
Jason Light has been.
You there? Oh, Adam.
Adam wants to know, you're from Rochester, New York, and you're down here in the South now. What
Correct.
is the Waffle House order?
I mean, I don't
You don't
really
go
do
to
a
Waffle
ton
House. You're a health nut. Fuck you.
I'm definitely not a health nut. That's the one. That's another reason why I work out as much as possible, just because my diet doesn't. Jason with the ouch. That's funny. That's not true. If you're ever in this area, I'll take any lesson you want to give me. But with Waffle House, I would probably just go something basic. Like I'll try an omelet anywhere, but you can't go wrong with waffles at Waffle House, right?
Right.
Right.
Enough
Thank
syrup,
God
make anything
somebody's
good.
on my side finally.
Right.
But yeah, I'm not a
What
big
about,
going out for breakfast kind of guy.
Yeah. Me neither.
Unless it's somewhere good. Unless it's somewhere like a real good spot.
I'll say it again. I hate Waffle House.
That's fine.
What about Nick Tahoes? Tell us about Nick Tahoes. Have you ever had a garbage plate from there?
Oh yeah. But if you're in Rochester, like yeah, you can get the Nick Tahoes for like the historical feel for it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go to like any of the hots, like each suburb has their hots. Like you have Grease Hots, Penfield Hots, Webster Hots, and so there's like it's a chain that's in each suburb. But P Hots, Penfield Hots would be the spot to get a garbage plate for up there.
Nice. And what is a garbage plate for those of us who do not know?
Those of you that don't know, is mac salad. This is the traditional one. If you get anything else, you're just weird. It's mac salad. It's in those giant like cafeteria styrofoam trays that have the little top on them.
Shit,
And you get half of it mac salad, half of it home fries. Then you get 2 cheeseburgers on top of it, and then the whole thing is covered with meat hot sauce, which you're probably not familiar with being in the South. It's covered with like meat hot sauce, onions, and mustard. And
meat hot sauce is what? Please don't tell me it's like meat drippings and like hot sauce. That's
no,
great.
it's like you'd have to. It's really hard to explain. Like it's one of the things you either have to like see it or eat it to understand it. But it makes the garbage plate, especially when it mixes in with like the mac salad.
Ooh,
That sounds like some of the nastiest food I've ever heard of.
You're gonna if you're someone that eats like even decent, you're gonna be a little hurting after you eat it.
Yeah,
But it's definitely, if you're ever up in that area, you got to try it.
yeah.
I'm going to. It sounds delicious to me. I like to eat, so.
Yeah.
So fun questions we got for you. Paul Macbeth just got super paid and bought a McLaren. What if you would have gotten Paul Macbeth's contract? What would you be driving around in?
What would I be driving? I would probably get something.
Fucking Ford. What are those trucks? The Raptors.
No, I would have
Something to
something.
hold those big old Great Danes in the back.
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to get this one on the camera, but she's fighting me. I would probably get
Is
something
that old
more
Ruru?
practical. Yeah, this is little Roo. This is the tiny dog. Come on.
No, she's not tiny, dude.
Yes, she is.
Oh,
Just because you're 6'5" does not mean she's tiny.
This is a small one. Come here, Ruff. Come here. Oh, they're just sleeping on the couch. They don't want to be part of this. But I would get something more practical. I would probably just end up getting like a Forerunner or something like that.
Yes.
Just something that I don't mind if they get it all dirty in the back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something you can put the window down in the back and they can hang their heads out.
Yeah, exactly.
All Rue's a
You
sweet
got
girl, dude.
Good girl.
I make you the president of the PDGA.
What's
What
that?
is the first thing I make you the president of the PDGA. What is the first thing you're doing in your order?
First thing I do is president of PDGA.
Like, what are you doing to grow the game, or not necessarily grow the game? Maybe like grow the professional disc golf association. What are you doing?
I'm gonna say to grow the game, I would try and get involved in high schools as much as possible.
Yeah.
Because I feel like
that.
most of the like what Jay and Dez are doing, and Edge and all that. Like I would push harder to get more of that involvement because that's what's gonna
Get more like club involvement.
And that's what's gonna get more money in disc golf. Like other than getting those big name sponsors, but you need to get the people in it. So if you get like the generation that's in high school right now into disc golf, like there's the time they become adults. Now that's that many more people that have been exposed to disc golf than naturally would. So I think that would be huge for it. But as far as like the tournament scene, I would almost like establish something like what the Pro Tour has been going on, just something that's kind of like what they have at the National Tour, but just looking at more of just a financially stable tour, like as far as like how are players getting from event to event, as far as like what's the distance that needs to be traveled, and just I think more regulations around TPads I think would be a huge. That's what I would do. I would make some sort of like scratch everything I just said. Forget about the kids.
Regulations and TPads for the kids.
Yeah. TPad regulation. Yeah. I would have requirements on what the TPads were, and just making all 18 holes on the course have to be the same TPad. Like I think that would be a big first step, because you see so many just avoidable injuries that happen because of just disgusting TPads, and that's something that hits home to me, because I'm a victim of a why is that a TPad? Who designed that? I tore my popliteal tendon in the back of my knee a few years back playing a tournament in New York that I will not be back to. Just terrible TPad design, I
think a lot. I mean, I'm designing a course here in Georgia right now, and a lot of things I'm considering is like where we are, and sort of like where are we putting this TPad? Like, do we want to put it underneath a tree where it's not going to get sunlight and it's not going to dry out, or are we going to put this TPad like right here next to a giant muddy culvert where there's nothing but mud, like tracking straight onto this TPad? Like, you got to kind of think about that stuff, and I mean, in this day of age of designing courses, and
if you want a good
I
course,
think a lot of people took design on that back in the day. I don't think people took that into kite in the time.
Well, and I think about like we had a point where any course was a good course.
Right.
Any course in the ground was amazing because people are going to see it, people are going to play it. We're at the point where it's like if you're putting in a new course, like you have to make the decision, like, am I making this for recreational play, or am I trying to make this a championship level course? And
that's what we're going through right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like we asked the county what they wanted, and they were like, we want a gold level this, and I said, okay, well, if we're designing gold level, then everything has to be to a T. If it's gold level on my sense.
Good pun, Austin. Good pun.
It wasn't even a pun, but yeah.
Oh, so what about if we made you, we gave you the keys to the Discraft warehouse? Is there any creation you would come up with? Is there anything you've been missing? Would you just stamp a bunch of PHs on as many discs as you could grab?
No, they do that for me. I don't need the keys for that. I would play with some sort of putter mold. I love my CT challengers right now, and I think I would just try and create some sort of variation of those, or just make a million of them, just so I don't need to worry about them for the next 10 years. That's kind of what I'm doing now. Is I'm just hoarding all the pink Photon Glow CT challengers I can get, because they're base plastic, like they're like a $9-10 disc new, but they don't make them. So it's funny, like I'll see one pop up and I'm like, ooh, how much for that? And someone's like 25, and I'm just like, not a chance. Like there's maybe three people in the world that want that disc. Like the man's not there for you to get that much.
Yeah,
I
you
think
sound
there's
like
some-
a Prodigy person now.
Yeah.
I might have a link for you with some old like 2008 brown ones from this tournament that I found a couple weeks ago. So I'll remember to do that.
So Dan, you're in Carolina now. You got a favorite Georgia course for the folks down here?
I haven't played a ton in Georgia. Jackson was sweet.
Yeah.
I played that for the Worlds 1 year. I like that style of golf. Like
Yeah.
woods that are fair, but you got to hit your line. Love it. Good, clean par fours. I think it's hole 10 maybe. I don't know, but the one par four has like super grassy fairway.
Yeah.
And I love wooded courses that somehow have like grass fairway.
Grass.
That's one of those things.
Yeah,
I see
that's
that,
it.
and it's so just like aesthetically pleasing that you're just like love it.
It's like Lula.
Oh,
We
no,
got a
Jack-
place here called Lula. You got to check out. It's a bunch of that too.
Yeah,
Yeah, dude,
who
you got a
would
place
be
to stay
your?
if you ever want to come down, by the way.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Of course.
Bring the dogs.
Who would be your celebrity doubles partner, non-disc golfer?
Andy Samberg.
All right. That's a good one.
Good one. That's a good one. I don't think we've heard that yet.
No, that's definitely a new one.
Why?
Oh, because it doesn't matter what's like. It's going to be hilarious and
Yeah.
fun no matter
Yeah,
what's
okay.
going on. Like if you're not having fun with that guy, you're doing something wrong. So
He might be
Right,
decent,
yeah.
dude.
So
I feel like he might have a sneaky forehand too. He just kind of looks like the guy that picks
Yeah.
up and all of a sudden he pops off a little 300-foot flick, and you're just like, okay.
I mean, with a quick lesson from DH, I don't see why there wouldn't be a sneaky forehand.
Hey,
So, dude, we're huge foodies. What did you eat after the day of the 1100? The 1100 rated day.
did you
You
celebrate?
you had to have had a celebratory meal. You know.
I think it was after the tournament. Like it wasn't after the day.
What
It
is
was
your ideal meal?
Oh, definitely like some sort of surf and turf, like a big old steak,
A
like
lobster
a
and
steak,
steak.
like scallops or shrimp. Like my
Oh,
wife,
okay.
can cook too. So like if I'm getting some like scallops or shrimp, like they're absolutely perfectly cooked. So it's one of those things where it's nice too because you can get that at home for like $15. Where
Yeah.
if you're going out, like you're talking $50-$60 dish. But no, I'm a
We're
big
talking
fan
Paul
of.
Macbeth money again. Yeah.
Yeah,
Pump
exactly.
done.
You're talking like once every few months type occasion. But
Yeah.
no, special occasions definitely a steak that people look at it and go, that's for one person, and then some sort of seafood. And then I'm a big fan of cookie cakes. So
Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So Dan, we're pretty much at exactly an hour. This is the last question we ask everybody. Do you have any questions or advice for us?
yeah, so if I was to come to Georgia and play, what is the must play? Like, what is the Georgia tournament each year? That's like you gotta play it.
Haywood Valley.
Boomtown.
Oh,
Haywood
no,
Valley's
Boomtown.
next week.
Sorry. Bomb
Boomtown.
Squad Boomtown. It's a course. It's on a ball golf course that's extremely elevated.
Yeah, it's just cliff shots, straight uphill cliff
It's
shots.
got an 1,100-foot par 4.
Two of the people on this podcast both have hands in their design too, so
Yeah.
we might
Gotcha.
be biased.
Something a little biased there.
A little bit.
Not really, but it is a
It's
dope.
not
It is a
real
dope
at
fucking
the-
course. I would recommend that. I would recommend any course, any tournament at Lula, Georgia.
Yeah.
It's really not that
Lula's
far
great.
from you, and you've got a place to stay at my house if you want.
Gotcha.
If you're in
Ferguson-
downtown Atlanta, there's only one course, and it's great. Ferguson Park.
Ferguson's huge. It's
Ferguson
right. It's
Park.
normally right after USCGC. I won it last year. I would invite you this year, but I don't want you to come. Maybe next year you can come. Or
That'll be in October. You know I'm not good in the fall. That's when I start.
Hey, there we
that's right
go.
when it starts to get cold, dude.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Actually,
exactly.
no, come on. So I
You
can
just
beat
need to knock his hand warmers out of his hand before the tournament.
That's
No, he doesn't
amazing.
even.
I actually just bought an electric hand warmer finally because I think my deal with hot hands kind of fell through.
Well, bro, the deal is you have to get 2 of them.
Well, the thing was,
One for the first round and one for the second round.
With the electric ones. I would say with hot hands, I had like 6 in my glove. Like I would pack them there.
Yeah. There's not enough. But the electric ones, you got to go 2. Like 1 for the first round, 1 for the second round. And if you're feeling feisty, you go 4 for 1 for each hand.
Okay. Yeah, but I had a pretty sweet deal with hot hands. I would give them money, and then they would let me use the hot hands for disc golf tournaments. So it's pretty sweet.
Nice, dude. I shout out to Hot Hands.
Yep.
Yo, dude, I appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Please,
Thanks for having me on, guys. It was fun.
Yeah, man. Tell everybody where they can find you. You know, the Instagrams, the YouTubes, the Facebooks, whatever.
Yeah, I've been trying to pump out a lot more content this year, and I'm going to continue doing that for the 2021 season. Instagram is at DH33504. And then check out my YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to that, and that's just Dan Hastings.
Shit, yeah, dude. Hey, man. I'll look forward to seeing you this year, man. Love you.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully we catch up at some tournaments soon.
Yep.
Yeah, man. We'll see you.
Have a great season.
Thank you, guys.
See you.
Thanks.
Later, Dan.
Bye.
So apparently Adam's having some technical difficulties this week.
This evening, because it started like right at the beginning of it. But yeah, I guess we don't. Adam, are you there?
There's his beautiful mug.
That beautiful mug is fucking beautiful.
Hey, no, seriously, guys. Dan has done a whole bunch of YouTubing so far this year. He's really trying to get into it. So just jump over to his YouTube channel, support his page. He's got some really fun videos with some local pros as well. Hopefully I can maybe we can do a Joe versus Schmoes video with me and some people versus Dan Hastings or something.
I don't know, dude. I think it might be a good idea, but I mean, Dan's an all around good dude. I mean, the fact that he's a teacher is just it tells you that he's all about the growth of America, and it's not just no, he's not just in it for himself. You know, he wants to build everybody up. And I think that's huge. I've always loved Dan. I've loved my time I've played with him. So support him. DH. What was the number? 335.
33504.
504. I've got a DH disc in my house. I personally know that I do. But yeah, support him.
Those DH hats are sweet too. I like that design.
It kind of looks like Dirty Heavens.
It kind of.
Did I say that? Okay. Hey, I'm Austin Lytle. Thanks for watching tonight's Frolfcenter. Follow the Frolfer Magazine website, Facebook, all that. Blah, 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 blah. See ya.
So we need 1,000 followers, subscribers on YouTube to make some epic stuff happen via YouTube. So go on over to the YouTube, and my name's Cody. Have a great night.
I don't know what's going on, guys. It's been a wonky episode on our end. The internet's dying over here, but thank you to Dan Hastings for coming by. I can't even get his name off the screen. Things are getting so funky right now. I am not Dan Hastings. Next week, we're going to do something kind of fun. We're going to have a friend show. So we're going to invite you all on to come on the show. We're going to send the link out at the Frolfcenter Friend Show next week. We might be doing a live broadcast from somewhere, too, and we'll let you know all about that. Once again, if you like what you see, Frolfer.com and at Frolfer Magazine on social media. You guys, thanks for watching Frolfcenter.